Before we can set up our site, we need a web address, and you get a web address by purchasing a domain name, and you'll also need a hosting account to upload your website to. So you can use a number of different registrars. I'm just going to show you GoDaddy here. Now, another thing you need to decide is if you're going to be hanging on to these sites or if you want to sell the sites at some point down the line. If you want to sell the sites, then you should register a new domain for each site. If you're going to hang on to the sites or you want to sell them all at once, you can register a single domain that I call a general purpose domain. I have a general purpose domain that I use for a lot of my sites, and it's called thebestinfoon.info. And then when I want to write something on a certain subject, I put it in a subdirectory. So it says thebestinfoon.info/cellphones or something like that. So I can put all of my sites on one domain, but the problem with that is if I decide to sell my sites, I have to sell them all because they're already hosted and on one domain. So you need to decide that right up front. I suggest that you have your own domain for every site. It doesn't cost that much. Usually you can get a .info type domain for $1.99 or even 99 cents, as you can see here. .info right now is 89 cents to register one. So what you need to do if you're going to register your own domain is bring up your keywords again and just try and take one of your phrases and then paste it in here. Make sure you get the whole thing. And you can take the spaces out of it first. Like that. Click go. And we're looking for a .com domain name here. This is the best idea, is to get a .com domain name if you can find one. Otherwise, you can use a .info domain name like I just said. Okay, so this one is available. So I could go ahead and register this domain name, and my whole key phrase is in the domain name. That helps in our search engine listings. Now, if you can't find it that way, what you can do is you can paste that in here again and put dashes in it. Now, contrary to what people may have told you, dashes in domain names actually work quite well for keyword phrases. It's been my experience anyway. So something like that. Okay, then again, freecellphoneswithcontracts.com is available. So what you would do is you would go ahead and register the domain name if you're going to do it this way. Otherwise, what you want to do is use that as a folder name when you put it on your general purpose domain name. I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. Okay, so once you've done that, you will need to get some hosting. There are many places to choose for hosting. What I'm showing you here is HostGator. There's a link to this in the resources document, as well as to the domain registrars. So what you want to do is you want to find a hosting account that will let you host multiple domains. And HostGator has a nice inexpensive package that does that for you at $7.95 a month. Okay, so it's pretty simple to find a good hosting plan for not a lot of money. It is essential that you have a domain name and hosting. Now, how you choose to do it is up to you, whether you use a single domain name for each site or if you use a general purpose domain name. Now, once you sign up for the hosting, they will send you an email telling you what to set your domain name servers at. So all you have to do is go back to your registrar and set the domain name servers, and there'll be instructions on how to do that with each registrar. Now, once you have that done, you have a domain name and you have hosting, you are ready to install your site. Now let's go over the site install. We're going to use WordPress to set up our site. The reason we're going to do this is because WordPress is easy to install and it has lots of plugins that help us rank well in the search engines. It's also easy to get your site up and running using WordPress. Now, what you're seeing in front of you here is the cPanel. To get to this, I just type in my domain name /cPanel, and then I put the login information that my host gave me or that I set up when I set up my hosting account. That brings me to the cPanel. There's lots of things you can do here in the cPanel. I'm not going to go through all those. You can set up your emails, etc. But what we're looking for here is to go to Fantastico. So you should be able to find somewhere Fantastico Deluxe. If you click on that, it gives you a number of tasks that you can do from within here and a number of scripts you can set up with just a couple of clicks. So that's what we're going to do here. Now from within here, we can install WordPress very easily. Just click on where it says WordPress. Then basically just fill out the form. Just click on New Installation here. Okay, then you select your domain name. If you have a number of domain names hosted on your hosting account, you'll find the list in here. Install in directory, this is where you would put your directory name. Okay, so this would be free cell phones with contacts. Now either here you need to put dashes in it or take the spaces out of it. It's up to you. And then you just put in your admin data, and down here you can put in your email address, the name of the site, and again you're going to want to put in your phrase here, but make sure you capitalize it like this. Okay, and then down here you can put another tagline, and you should put this key phrase in here as well. You could say something like, this site is all about how to find, and then free cell phones with contracts after that. Click Install WordPress and you're 2 clicks away. That's as far as I'm going to go with this. I'm going to show you how to set up WordPress using the downloadable files, just in case you don't have Fantastico. This is not difficult to do at all. Let's go to wordpress.org first. Once you're here, you want to download the most current files. So we'll go over here and we'll download the current version. You click there and then download the zip file here. Okay, then just save this to your working directory or to your desktop, wherever you want. Okay, so I'm saving it to my Amazon cell phones directory. Save that in there. This will take a few minutes to download. Okay, so here it is, download here, and you'll see it's a zip file. So what you need to do is unzip it. To do that, if you're on Windows Vista, you can just click it, and then you can do extract files. Same thing on Windows XP. Those should already be installed. The other thing you can do is install a free program called 7-Zip. It's free. You can just do a search on it in Google, and then all you have to do is do 7-Zip and then extract files like that. Okay, and then from here, just click OK, and it unzips the whole thing for you. Right, then we have inside here, we have WordPress 2.9, and inside that we have a WordPress directory, and inside that we have all of the WordPress files. So what we need to do now is upload all of these files to our directory. Now let's go and use an FTP client to do this. You can download a free FTP client called FileZilla, and it will do everything for you. Here is what FileZilla looks like. This is just a software program that allows you to upload files. On the left side, you have your computer. So all you have to do is navigate to where you want to be using the window here. Just click where you want to be on your computer. On this side is going to be the server side. Now you're going to use the same login that you used to get to your cPanel. And what you have to do is just under host here, put your domain name in there. And then under username, put in the username you sign in with and the password you sign in with. Click Quick Connect, and that will connect you up to your site. It also has something called a site manager. Let's bring that up. And in here, you can add your site by clicking on New Site, putting in the proper information over here, and that way it will save it for you and you can just connect up to your site anytime you want. Okay, so I'll navigate to my general purpose domain name here that I'm using. So I'm using thebestinfoon.info like I indicated before, and then I can use a folder in here. So we just click Connect, And you'll see on this side that my host has populated the software. Now, this particular host, HostGator, all of the files that are visible on the internet need to be within public_HTML. Depending on your host, this could be different, and they will tell you where they need to be in your opening email. So we'll double click there. Within here, we have all the files and folders that I have uploaded on here. So what we want to do is create a directory. So we just right click here, create directory, and then we want to use our keyword. Okay, so we're going to use free cell phones with contracts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put dashes in there, and we will create that folder. Okay, now we'll find it in our folder list. Just navigate down to it. There it is there. And double click. And now we have an empty directory, and this is where we're going to upload our WordPress files. So now we have our unzipped folder on this side. Let's just go inside there, and then let's go inside here. These are all the files that need to be uploaded. So just select the first one here. And then what we can do is do a Control A. So hold the Control key down, and while you're holding it down, click the letter A. That selects all the files and folders. Just right click now and click Upload. Okay, it queues up all the folders in the queue down here, and it starts uploading them for you. So now we just need to wait for this process to finish. Okay, as you can see, everything uploaded fine. We have the successful transfers and no failed transfers. So we can see that everything's here. Now what we need to do is go back to our cPanel and set up a database. WordPress is all database driven. It saves everything in a database for us, and that's how it's able to recall it. So we need to go back to our cPanel and set up that database. Once you're in your cPanel, you need to find MySQL databases. Here we go, MySQL databases. Click on that. And what we need to do now is create a new database. So we'll create a new database here, and let's just call it cell. You can call it anything you want, of course. We'll create the database. Go back. Now what we need to do is create a new username to log into that database. Okay, so we go to MySQL users, and here we can set up a username and password to access the database. This is used by the script so that it can find the information. So you can just put your password in here and put it down here again. You can put anything you want for password, or you can use a password generator. Password generator creates a very secure password for you. So you can do that, do a copy. Okay, I've copied this password in a safe place, and then you can click use password. Okay, and it has entered that for you. Now all you need to do is click create user. It gives you a message that that's been done. Click go back. Now what you need to do is attach a username to a database so that it can be accessed by that username. Okay, so down here we want to add a user to database. So we click cell as our user and cell as our database is how we set it up. You notice that there are some characters at the beginning. You need to make sure that you use those all the way around. That is what indicates to the server that this database belongs to us. Okay, so click add, and then we want to give it all privileges here. Click all and click make changes. Okay, and now we're all ready to go. Okay, the next thing we need to do is run the installer for WordPress. To do that, all we have to do is type in the location into our browser bar to our new blog. Okay, so that's in my case thebestinfoon.info/free-cell-phones with contracts with the dashes in it. Now you can see here that it says there doesn't seem to be a WP config file. And there's an option to create a configuration file. But before you do that, you need to set a certain permission on your folder that contains your files. So let's go back to FileZilla. Okay, then what we want to do is go back to the directory before the directory we installed it in. So we installed this under free cell phones with contracts. So we go to this. What we do is we right click here, click on File Attributes, and we want to make this 777 temporarily. So do that. Now, if you put it in the public_HTML directory, simply go back to the root directory here, and then do that with public HTML. Just right click, do File Attributes, and change it to 777 temporarily. Okay, now let's go back to our browser, click Create a Configuration File, and the wizard is starting. So let's go and give it the information we need. Now our database name, remember if we go back here, we can get it here. The best I_cell in this case. We also use the same username. Password. Now you should have saved that on a notepad session somewhere, or you should have it saved. You just paste that in here. Okay, database host, localhost, that's almost always going to be correct. Especially if you use HostGator, that's going to be right. You can tell by going to your cPanel. And then if we go back home, and then we go to phpMyAdmin. This is where you can maintain your databases, change them, list all the ones that you have. So let's find this one we just created called Cell. And you'll see here server localhost. So you know that that's correct. Okay, so let's go back to here. We leave localhost. Table prefix WP_. You're going to want to leave that as well, unless you're going to install multiple instances of WordPress in one database. If you are, you can just change this for every other instance of WordPress you're going to install in this database. That way it can keep the files all separate by using a table prefix. Let's click Submit because we're ready to go here. Click Run the install. Okay, here's where we put our blog title. Okay, so that's our main key phrase, free cell phones with contracts. We put our email in here. That way it will email us the password and allow my blog to appear in search engines. Make sure that that is checked. Now we click Install WordPress. At this point, it gives you your admin username and your password. Now copy this password as well. You're going to need this to log in to WordPress the first time. We'll click Login. And now we'll log in for the first time here. Okay, then what we need to do is go to our profile and change the password to something you can remember. So just down here where it says new password, just put something else in here. And then update it. Use an update profile. Okay, and our password has been updated. Now there's one last thing to do. Remember that we changed a permission on our folder, free cell phones with contracts. So what we need to do is change it back for security reasons. Remember we set this to 777. We need to set it back to 755. Now if you installed everything in the root directory rather than in a subdirectory like this, you'd need to change public HTML back to 750. Okay, we didn't change public HTML, but if you did, you have to go in here, File Attributes, and change it back to 750 like you see here. Okay, at this point, WordPress has been installed. In the next video, we're going to go over how to customize it so that it looks the way we want to look and has the functionality that we need to make it rank in the search engines.